students? What is the last thing you people have written?
About sclerenchyma.
Sclerenchyma. Okay, so up until now, we have completed the simple permanent tissues. Now, can someone tell me, is there any doubts, anything you people want to ask me, something that you did not understand? You want to clear any doubts before moving forward?
Ma'am, can you summarize the types of permanent tissue?
Okay. So, the permanent tissue, first of all, you people tell me what are permanent tissues?
Tissues that have lost the ability to divide.
Very good. The tissues that have lost the ability to divide, those tissues are called as the permanent tissue. Very good. Now, the permanent tissues, they are of two types, simple permanent and complex permanent. Now, they are of two types depending upon the cells that they have. Now, if they are made up of one type of cells, then we call those tissues as the simple permanent tissues. Whereas when they are made up of more than one type of cells, we call them as complex permanent tissues. Now, the simple permanent tissues, they are made up of one type of cells, and further they are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Now, parenchyma tissues, they are mostly the living tissues, right? They are mostly living and they have a lot of intercellular spaces present. They have thin wall which is made up of cellulose, okay? And furthermore, the most important function performed by the the parenchyma tissue is that it gives the storage purpose to the plant. It helps the plant to store stuff. Now, the parenchyma tissues, depending upon where they are or depending upon the habitat of the organism, it can modify itself to help the plant. Now, if the parenchyma, it contains the chloroplast in it, then we'll call it as chlorenchyma. This parenchyma will be able to perform photosynthesis. If the parenchyma has air cavity in it, so we'll call it as aerenchyma, and these kind of parenchyma, they provide buoyancy to the plant. And lastly, steel parenchyma is the star-shaped parenchyma. Then coming on to the collenchyma, so the collenchyma is that simple permanent tissue, which is again living, but it has irregular thickenings at the corner, which we call as the wall thickenings. Now, what happens is that as compared to the parenchyma, the collenchyma is, you can say, having lesser intercellular space in it. Parenchyma has the most, collenchyma has less intercellular spaces because there the cells are sort of compactly arranged. The collenchyma provides mechanical strength to the plant and it helps the plant to bend in any direction without breaking. And the last one, which is the sclerenchyma. So the sclerenchyma, they mostly have the deposition of lignin on them, which makes them very hard, which makes them very, very durable. And the thing that differs for the sclerenchyma is that the sclerenchyma is a dead tissue, right? And it has a narrow lumen and it has no intercellular space. So parenchyma has most intercellular space, collenchyma has little intercellular space, and the sclerenchyma has least or no intercellular space at all. Now the sclerenchyma, it is made up of usually lignin, and lignin is a very hard substance, right? It provides rigidity. It's like a cement. So when the cement hardens, just like that, the lignin is providing the hardening to the cell. Okay? Any doubts, students?
No.
So now, today, we're going to talk about the complex permanent tissues. Now, complex permanent tissues are the ones that are made up of different kinds of cells. Different and more than one type of cell. It's not that they will be having only one kind of cell. No, they'll have different kinds of cells present. When we talk about the complex permanent tissues, all of the different cells in it, they work in a coordinated manner. See, it's not that there are different cells present, so they'll perform different functions. No, it's like every single cell, it works together or towards a common goal. Okay, so it performs a common function. That is its nature. Now, complex permanent tissues, they are of two types, xylem and phloem. Now, xylem and phloem, they are also called as conducting tissues. Why? Because they are responsible for conduction. What is the meaning of conduction, students? Conduction? Conduction means transportation of substance, like from one place to another place, it will transport substances or conduct substances. So that is why the xylem and phloem, they are called as the conducting tissues. Another way that we mention them is like vascular tissues. So in the plant, whenever there is a need to transport the water, whenever there is a need to transport the food, the minerals, then the xylem and phloem, they come into play. They are very, very important for that purpose. Is it clear, students? Any doubts?
No.
All right. Moving forward. Now see, xylem and phloem, since they are complex permanent tissues, so they will be having specific functions and each of their components will be having a name, will be having a function. For example, xylem. So xylem is that tissue of the plant that is responsible for the conduction of water and minerals. So from where? So from the roots to the different parts of the plant, isn't it? From the roots to the leaves, because in the roots only the water gets absorbed. Now the xylem contains 4 components, each of which have different functions to perform, but they all functions together. So the xylem, the 4 components that the xylem has are tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. These are the 4 components present in the xylem. Now we have to discuss each of these components. So the first component is the tracheid, which is made up of elongated cells. Very long cells are there with flat and tapering ends. For example, this is the long cell and it has tapering ends like this, flat tapering ends. So at the end, it sort of is thinner as compared to in the middle. So the tracheids, they are elongated cells with flat and tapering ends. Function. Now, function of the trachea is to provide a network, sort of like a channel of hollow and connected cells for the transportation of water. So it provides a channel. Channel means like a column, sort of like a pathway for which the water will be absorbed or transported. So trachea is clear?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now comes the next component of the xylem, which is called as the xylem vessel. Also remember, tracheids, they are living. Okay, they are not dead. They are living tissues or living cells. I'll write it here. They are living cells. Always remember that. Then the xylem vessels, these are tube-like structure. Okay, they are tubular structure. Now they consist of dead cells in them. Okay, they consist of dead cells, but they are not dead as such. What they do is that they allow the free flow of water and minerals from the roots to the leaves or to wherever it is required in the plant's body. Why is water required, students? What is the use of water for plants?
It helps plants grow and do photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis, right? Photosynthesis, one of the raw materials of photosynthesis is water. So that water, where does the plant gets the water from? The plant gets it from the root. And the root contains the xylem. And the xylem is responsible for the transportation process. So after the xylem vessels, then comes the xylem fibers. Now the xylem fibers, they are completely dead tissues. Okay, they are the dead fibers of the xylem. So they provide support and mechanical strength to the plant. So they are not involved in the conduction process, rather they are involved in providing support and mechanical strength to the plant. Is it clear to everyone?
Yeah.
Then comes xylem parenchyma, the last component of the xylem. So this is the component that consists of the living parenchyma tissues. right? And wherever parenchyma is there, it is obviously living. And what is the function of parenchyma, students?
Storing.
Storage, right? So same way, the xylem parenchyma, this also stores food in the plant body. And you all know that the food of the plant is the glucose molecule. Is it clear to everyone? So up until now, we have discussed the first component or the first type of the complex permanent tissue, that is the xylem. And xylem, it is called as the conducting tissue or the vascular tissue. Is it clear to everyone? Does anyone have any doubts? Anything you want to ask?
No, ma'am.
Oh, very good. All right, now you people note down, then we'll move forward. You have to start from complex permanent tissue, right? The above part you people have written, these parts.
No, ma'am.
No.
No. Okay, before this, like what is the last thing you people have written?
The point after lignin.
The cell wall is so thick. This one, intercellular
Yeah.
space.
That
Okay,
one.
so you have to write from this thing, right? Present in stems. Okay, all right. Now you people note down.
Ma'am, what is it written after that is?
Epidermis. Epidermis. Epidermis.
Then, ma'am.
Everyone's done till here? Okay, it's okay. You people write. Once everyone is done, just
Done,
let
ma'am.
me
I'm done.
Ma'am, I'm done.
Ma'am.
Okay, everyone's done till here?
Yes.
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Done.
Done.
Done, ma'am.
Done. Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done till here?
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Oh.
ma'am.
Who's not done?
I'm not done. Just a second.
Okay, okay, okay.
I'm done.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Aleph, are you also done?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Yes, everyone's done till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one second. Yes, any doubts up until now, students?
No.
Okay,
No,
very
ma'am.
good. Now, moving forward, we are going to see the phloem, which is the second type of complex permanent tissue of the plants. Now, this is yet another conducting tissue or the vascular tissue of the plant. Now, this is again a living tissue. Now, this one is responsible for the transportation of food substances in the plant. It has nothing to do with the water or the minerals. Mostly it has to, you can say, transport the food substances in the plant. And you all know that the food of the plant is the glucose molecule. And where is it prepared? It is prepared in the leaves, right? The photosynthesis happens in the leaf. Why, students? Can someone tell me? Why does it happen in the leaf?
Because they contain chloroplast, which contains chlorophyll.
Very good, exactly. The reason why the food is synthesized in the leaf is because the leaves, they contain specialized cells or specialized plastids that are called as chloroplasts. And the chloroplasts are those plastids that contain the pigment chlorophyll. And this chlorophyll is the green colored pigment, which is very important for photosynthesis. What does the chlorophyll do? Does anyone know this?
Trap the sunlight.
Exactly. The chlorophyll is responsible for trapping the sunlight. So it provides the solar energy to the plant. And thereby the photosynthesis continues. So the food is prepared in the leaves. So now from the leaves, the food has to be sent all over in the plant body because the plant requires food for growth, for nourishment, right? So the transportation, and see, this is a long distance transportation. It's like it will be transported to the different parts of the plant, right? So this process of transportation of food by the phloem is called as translocation, or you can call it as the phloem translocation. Okay, it's like bulk transportation. So this phloem translocation, it is the form of bulk transportation. What is the meaning of bulk transportation? So bulk transportation means the transportation in a large amount. So bulk transportation is the transportation of substances in a larger amount, and that is done with the help of phloem. Now, just like the xylem, the phloem also contains 4 components. So here the components are seed tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. 4 components are present in the phloem. Now, just like xylem. Now, see, each of these components, they again will have their own particular function to perform, their own, you can say, specific, you can say, function that each of the component will be doing. Now, remember one more thing, students, that if we talk about the transportation by the xylem, okay, so the transportation by the xylem, it is unidirectional. What is the meaning of unidirectional, students?
Like
In one
what
direction.
way?
Something that takes place in one direction. One direction means, now normally if we talk about the xylem, we are talking about the transportation of water, and the water couldn't be absorbed into the plant from anywhere else other than the soil, isn't it? So since the water has to be absorbed from the soil itself, so we say that the transportation of water will obviously be taking place from the soil and then to the different parts of the plant, isn't it? From the soil to the, you can say, different components of the plant, such as the root, the leaves are there, the different cells of the plant are there. So always remember that the transportation of the water molecule by the xylem, it is always going to be unidirectional, whereas the transportation via phloem is going to be bidirectional. So I'll mention that also. So wherever you people have written about the xylem, you can add one more line. Like after this point, like water conducting part, you can write. Xylem transportation is always unidirectional. Okay? Meaning from root to the leaves. Always it's going to be like this. Okay? From the root to the leaves. So the xylem transportation is always going to be unidirectional, starting from the roots, ending at the leaves and the different parts of the plant. Done? Everyone has written this down?
Yeah.
Oh, very. Now talking about the phloem. So the phloem is responsible for the transportation of food, and you can write like once when you are writing, you can write phloem transport is bidirectional. Bidirectional means wherever it is required, the food will be transferred. Like it can go from the leaves to the roots, and if they are stored in the roots, then it can go from the roots to the leaves also. So that varies. Now, the 4 components of the phloem are seed tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and lastly the phloem parenchyma. Now, when we talk about the first component, the seed tubes. Now, these are tubular structures or tubular cells, meaning they are tube-like cells that have perforations. Perforation means they are like having a lot of pores present, like tiny, tiny holes are there, which provides them like a sieving effect. Sieving means straining effect. Okay. So that is why they are called as the sieve plates. And remember that the sieve tubes, they do not have a nucleus of their own. They do not have any nucleus. The next component is the companion cell. So they are the small and elongated cells which have a well-defined nucleus present in them, a well-defined prominent nucleus. So companion cells, they help the sieve tube cells. Sieve tube cells do not have a nucleus of their own. So companion cells help. Then phloem fibers. Now these are the dead components. Okay. So they are dead cells with thick walls. Mostly they are made up of sclerenchyma cells. And what they do is that they provide mechanical support to the tissues and to the different parts of the plant. So mechanical strength and mechanical support is provided by the phloem fibers. Is it clear to everyone?
Yeah.
Lastly, the last component of the phloem is the phloem parenchyma. Now again, since it is parenchyma, so it will be living. So these are the thin wall living cells which are made up of parenchyma. And they are mainly concerned with the storage and the transportation of food. So the food gets transported into the, you can say, plant's body via the phloem parenchyma. Is it clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Now see, lastly, there is this diagram that represents the transportation that happens via xylem and phloem. Now, when you people are taking down the notes, you draw this diagram also. If you see over here, in the xylem, the transportation is one way. That is why we call it as unidirectional transportation. Okay. And whereas when we talk about the phloem, so you see that they are transported in two ways. Okay. Bidirectional. Top to bottom, bottom to top. Remember that. And see here, the water and minerals, they are always absorbed from the soil to the different parts via the xylem. Whereas the food could be sent from the leaves to the roots and then also to the different parts of the plant. So it is bidirectional. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Any doubts, students?
No.
So today, since after discussing all of these, we are done with the plant tissues. Now, the next thing to start after the plant tissues are the animal tissues. Okay, the tissues of the human beings. But for now, we'll note down this.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Everyone's done till here?
No, ma'am,
Yes,
just a
ma'am.
minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Done, ma'am.
I'm done.
Ma'am, can you go beta? Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done? Everyone's done?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Ma'am, could you scroll a little higher? Just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm done.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Done, ma'am.
Once done?
No, ma'am. I'm done.
Ma'am, I'm done.
Done, ma'am.
Ma'am, do we draw that plant diagram also?
Yeah, you can draw it just roughly, not very, you can say artistic. The main diagram is the xylem and flow. You can draw this part, wherein it tells you about from where to where the flow is.
Okay. I'm done.
Okay, everyone's done till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, students, any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so we'll be keeping it till here only for today's class. And in the next class, we'll start with animals. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.